This is CWO4 Victor Pinion, U.S. Navy retired, telling some stories of my naval career. Well, this one I'm titling Stuck Choke Ring. I was serving as the catapult and arresting gear and visual landing maintenance officer aboard the Midway, and we were doing a 3-month Indian Ocean deployment. The Iran was being troublesome. We were like in alert 5 condition just about all the time, operating like a big dog all the time. One of the choke rings in Cat 1's water brakes cracked. So I knew of a special procedure that would allow us to continue to use that if we couldn't get it out and didn't have a spare. Well, we did have a spare, but it was stuck in there and we just couldn't screw it out using the choke ring wrench in place. Like I had been part of a procedure on a previous ship where we learned to do that. Well, we couldn't get it out. So we made a couple more days launches, but we're measuring that every day because you could use it until you had a certain amount, the inside diameter is open to a certain amount of that choke ring. Well, it exceeded the maximum allowable. Now we must replace that choke ring. It's a great big old heavy bronze choke ring that screws into the mouth of a great big cylinder that lays on its side. We pulled them out of the catapult and we got it on the flight deck, and we are trying everything. We're heating it and we're beating it and stuff, you know. We just can't get it out. I had come up with an idea that there was a valve seat grinding tool that the auxiliary division had, and I thought we could adapt and use a big air motor like the Barricade air winch, big powerful air motor, and some special studs that would fit where the another ring bolted into the catapult water brake cylinder. And mount that rig in there and use that big air winch. We could machine that choke ring out of there. Well, we tried that and it was working, but it was extremely slow. And I got to thinking about if we could make a huge, heavy steel wrench that would bolt, would drill into that choke ring face and put some great big bolts in there and put some dowel pins in there. We could put these great big long 8-inch box wrenches with long handles about 6 feet long with cheater pipes on them. And we could put about 20 men on one of those cheater pipes, and we could weld a cup on the other. And we had a big old cement buster type jackhammer that we borrowed from one of the squadrons. I welded a split pipe cup on the edge of the handle of them and had Chief Dave Deese, not Dave Deese, Dave Lewis on that big jackhammer there, and I'm on a big sledgehammer beating, and we broke it loose. Now, we had been several days working on that, and the ship is in combat in the Northern Indian Ocean, Gulf of whatever the Gulf is there. Anyway, and it broke loose. Man, there was cheering. I was cheering it. As soon as it broke loose, it just moved just a hair. So my scribe line, missile line, a hot dog, we got it loose. And we had it out in just 5 minutes. It's out of there. Now, we had a new one machine to fit. It screwed it in, reinstalled it. We were back in business as a 2-cat ship once again. Because during this time frame, I had submitted a catch rep message. Early during it, I'm talking with the captain up on the bridge, and Commodore Pack had directed us to send that water brake cylinder to Subic Bay in the Philippines, and they would machine the old one out and put a new one in and send it back to us. Well, there was not anything in the Indian Ocean, no U.S. supply ship or aircraft that could do that big a single weight item to transfer from ship to ship or to fly it aboard with helicopters or an airplane. So we're going to have to pull in some port somewhere and crane it off onto a barge and crane it onto a surface ship or something and send it to. I commented to the captain that Captain, I could use a pair of fingernail clippers and chip it out in less time than it would take to do it. He said, well, bosun, break out your fingernail clippers. Oh, man, me and my mouth. Now, this started all these procedures for getting that choke ring out of there. Well, we succeeded. We got it out of there. It was thing after thing. A lot of people offering advice. We made that big special wrench on board. Now, Captain Hoagie Carmichael, his name wasn't Hoagie, it was a nickname. Captain Carmichael was our commanding officer, and I nicknamed those special tools the Hoagie tools because they worked. And we were back in operations again. Now, it's time to send a casualty correct message. And I drafted it up, and I took it to the air office, and the air office yeoman didn't want to do it. I said, you better get busy doing it. So he reluctantly, he typed it, I'd written it out and all again. He typed it and we sent it. Well, a lot of the people in Comnavar PAC didn't like me because of that training incident I told them about when I was on the Ranger years ago. Well, that followed me and they still didn't like me. They didn't want to recognize anything good I might do. They replied to my CAS Corps message when I told them what we did and congratulated the ship's engineering department for removing that choke ring for us. Boss, the captain, called me up the bridge when he got the reply. Read this, Vic. I did. They just don't know, do they? I said, no, sir, they don't. Carry on.